Um, how our action research, for that matter, respond to the educational stakeholders? DepEd Order 39, Series of 2016, identify 4 important themes. But I think this is not only true to basic education. This is also true to higher education, may it be private or government higher education. So, how do we conduct research, or which research are we supposed to conduct? So the basic education research agenda identified 4 themes that is actually tantamount or respond to the 4 stakeholders of education: teaching and learning, child protection, human resource and development, and governance. So ito yung 4 na tema na pwede nating pagkuhanan ng ating mga gagawing research topics. Actually, in a while, I'll be showing you what are the possible topics before we proceed to how do we produce research, okay? So, aside from the 4 themes, there are also 3 cross-cutting themes like gender and development, disaster risk reduction management, and inclusive education. So sa madaling salita, there are 7 themes that a teacher researcher could adapt in conducting research inside and outside the classroom. Okay, so these 4 themes actually, as mentioned, for example, the teaching and learning process responds to the students and teachers' needs. So dito mo gagawin yung mga research na may kinalaman sa pangangailangan ng estudyante at ng guro. On child protection policy, these research topics respond to the needs of the students alone. On human resource and development, responds to the needs of teaching and non-teaching staff. Governance, however, focus on administration and stakeholder engagement. Under teaching and learning, a researcher could look into 5 sub-themes in teaching and learning. Like instruction, you can make a research on instruction. On like now, you could look into the modality, of which is the more effective modality. What are the challenges encountered in this modality? Curriculum, we now are adapting the MELC, no, the modified competencies of students. We can look into that, the kind of learners that we have, what are the problems encountered by learners, how do we assess students' competencies and learning outcomes. Okay, now because we only have 1 hour, on your screen you could see what are the possible topics under theme number 1. So roughly, you could have research on student achievement, competencies, values, behaviors, career pathing, personality traits, flexible learning options, school-home linkages, lalong-lalo na ngayong kailangan natin ng more collaboration with other stakeholders, no, may it be in school or the community. Under theme number 2, child protection, studies can be conducted in the area of prevalence, child protection, teenage pregnancy, bullying, drugs, child labor, and gambling. So kung napansin niyo siguro sa mga nakaraang report sa television, no, yung particularly that school who actually had an online class, no, bigla na lang may naghubad na mga kasama dun sa group, and then they realize they are not basically part of the school, no. So how can we prevent, how can we protect our students from possible data violations? That is why, as we use also online platforms, we also see to it that the rights of our students are also protected. And also bullying, no, in our online mechanism, bullying is now more on cyberbullying, so we can also look into that. On human resource and development, there are 3 sub-themes. You can look into teaching and non-teaching qualification and hiring. If you try to open Facebook now, there were a lot of questions about what will happen if you have passed already RQA, what will be the next step, what will be the online mechanism and everything. Career development, what will happen to teachers? There was a moratorium on teachers who want to be promoted from teacher 3 to master teacher, so on and so forth. The department already have issued a moratorium for that, if I'm not mistaken, and other concerns. Employees' welfare, for example, as much as we try to protect the welfare of the students, are the welfare of teachers also protected? For example, teachers sometimes, because of need, are required to go to school. Halimbawa, biglang nagka-COVID si teacher sa hindi niya sinasadya, sasagutin ba ng school yung mga gagastusin ng teacher? My wife is an occupational health physician. She she actually helps employees to see to it that they are healthy and they are fit to work. And sometimes she would be the one, or more often, she will be the one to tell the administration if this particular worker or employee is fit to work. That is why one time in one of our conversations, she asked me, kayong mga guro, kapag nagkasakit kayo, ano yung sagot ng eskwelahan? Ano yung sagot ng departamento? I cannot comment much because all the most that I know of is the medical examination that we have at the beginning or towards summertime. But in between that, I don't know that the school is providing us like what the private schools or private organizations are giving. Although we have PhilHealth and other things, but that's beyond the DepEd or the school's help to us. No, that's because we are paying to PhilHealth. But just the same, these are the that is why the schools, no, school leaders would see to it that when teachers are going to school, health protocols are properly observed to be free from these possible consequences. So under human resource and development is teaching and non-teaching, qualification and hiring, career development, employees welfare, gender and development. So dito na papasok yung gender and development. So halimbawa sa career development, mapapansin nyo na studies, no, as a researcher, we know that online teaching is saturating. It's not sustainable. Kung minsan nakaka-drain, okay? That is why the school have their own mechanism in order to sustain the health of their students, of the teachers. So, and other mental health issues for that matter. Under governance, which are normally fit for the principals, for the head teachers, and for other non-teaching personnel, they can conduct research on the area of planning, on finance, program management, transparency and accountability, customer satisfaction, disaster risk reduction management. Dito papasok. So ngayon na nasa signal number 3 yung Pampanga, gamit na gamit natin yung DRR. That is why the School Division Office, DRR ng Pampanga, in collaboration with other agency, are having their radar to see to it that schools are properly monitored and also to see to it that employees are secured. Okay. Now, having said that, let's proceed to the second part of our discussion, which is research productivity. Why do we need to produce research? In higher education, there are 3 important, I normally call it the trident of education. That is instruction, research, and community extension. And research is one of the important elements of a particular institution if an institution wants to have, for example, a university status, an autonomous status. But in basic education, we know that research productivity is important because according to what we have mentioned earlier, no, the particular Republic Act and the DepEd order says that all reforms that will be conducted by the school should be a byproduct of research, should be based on research. So all decisions should be research-based. That's exactly why when a particular school adopted a particular modality, it's supposed to be based from research. For example, my school in San Matias, majority of our modality is printed module. So malinaw yun, printed module. Students will try to give that the school will provide them the modules, the printed modules, and then they will return. Although out of the generosity of the school and the teachers, there are other mechanisms for the feedback mechanism. So students could ask the teacher or the school or through their advisor about certain clarification. And then the advisor would actually tell the teacher concerned about this concern, so that there would be proper channeling of information so that the issue can be properly addressed to. Okay? Because if the proper channeling is not observed, I think there will be some breach of communication. And there might be also possible problems eventually in the organization. So what is research productivity? A simple definition by Abramo and Angelo, research productivity pertains to the number of publications per researcher. And other definitions sometimes not only refer to the number of research produced, but sometimes the number of research being disseminated. Okay, in the study that I conducted, the research productivity were actually gauged on different category. For example, research being submitted but not approved. Research which is approved but implemented, or a full-blown research. That is the research which were actually implemented and accepted by the nation. It's only then you have a full-blown research productivity. Now, why do we need research productivity? But to understand research productivity, you have first to understand what is culture, or what is the importance of research culture. You cannot have a research productive organization if you don't have a good research culture. Okay? Teresa Marchant of Hanover Research in 2014 defines a culture as a system of widely shared and strongly held values. Ito yung mga pinanghahawakang mga pagpapahalaga ng isang organisasyon. So these are your values. Apply that to research. Research culture pertains to the structure that gives research behavior significance and allows to understand and evaluate research activity. Kanina, sabi natin, all innovations in school supposed to be based from and on research. Therefore, kapag ako ay school leader, lahat ng mga desisyon na gawin, especially when it comes to innovation and reform, should be based from research, from studies. So, but to do that, you should have a good research culture. Okay? Kapag ang isang leader ng eskwelahan o ng institusyon ay mayroong malawak na kultura ng research, alam niya na lahat ng gagawin niya ay nakabatay sa research. No? So, that's according to Cheetham of the University of Western Sydney. A culture of research provides a supportive context in which research is uniformly expected, discussed, produced, and valued. So pag sinabi mong mayroon kaming magandang research culture, ibig sabihin sa inyong eskwelahan, research is actually expected by all, from teacher, master teacher, head teacher, principal, up to the higher up. It is being discussed in your LAC session, in your meetings, produced and valued. Tanong, in your school, all the reforms conducted by your leader, how many percent of them were actually based from research? Or regardless of who conducted the research, if most of them are actually based from studies, then you could say that your school actually have a good research culture. Now, you would realize that a good research culture is tantamount to having a good chances of research productivity. Okay, according to the study I have conducted, particularly the study of Bland et al. And Sulabo of the University of the Philippines, they identified 4 predictors of research productivity. And according to Bland et al., actually, this group has the most, shall I say, comprehensive framework on research productivity. It identified 3 predictors or factors of research productivity. One is individual characteristic. Second is institutional characteristic. And 3, leadership characteristic. But on my end, I added another characteristic adopted from the study of Sulabo from the University of the Philippines. It says that self-efficacy is also a predictor for research productivity. So that is why we were able to have 4 predictors of research productivity. Other study also could actually add other elements. As for our discussion, we limit it only to 4. So going to our discussion, I will not elaborate so much. Under individual characteristics, Bland et al. Identify socialization, motivation, content knowledge, basic and advanced research skills, simultaneous projects, orientation, and autonomy and work habits. In other words, teachers and researchers who possess these individual characteristics are more likely to produce research. Motivation. Kapag, based on my interview, actually, in one of my participants, he said that despite of the challenges they encounter, which I actually later on will identify, what actually pushed them to produce research is their motivation. They are motivated to conduct research, which is an intrinsic motivation. Basic and advanced research skills. Others who were asked, bakit hindi kayo nakakagawa ng research? Kasi nga, hindi namin alam. No? We have a hard time doing statistics and data analysis. orientation, because teachers or researchers were actually oriented. They would rather do these things than doing research. Content knowledge, they don't know the basic about research. Okay? Another, autonomy and commitment has academic freedom, because they are not given that freedom to conduct a particular study. They rather not. No? But if researchers and teachers are given this responsibility and right, then more chances that they will conduct research and produce study. Work habits. It says as establish productive scholarly habits. If I am used to creating something for the school, for the world, for example, in my case, it's been my advocacy to uh, to promote research productivity not only in the region but even in the international arena. So that actually pushes me to conduct research. Another indicator of research productivity under Blunt et al. Is institutional characteristic. What are these institutional characteristics? One, clear coordinating goals, research emphasis, culture, positive group climate. Kanina nabanggit ko earlier that culture is very important in order for you to produce research. Kapag ang isang institusyon ay may pagmamahal, pagpapahalaga sa research, more chances that they will produce research, as mentioned in this study. That is why a positive research culture is an indicator of research productivity. What else? Positive group climate. Kapag ang kasama mo ay mahilig din gumawa ng research, nadadala ka din gumawa ng research. So kapag ang mga kasama mo ay ayaw gumawa ng research, for example, in my experience, I've been promoting research productivity in my area for 3 years now. May mga gumawa na din, but still I hope more will continue to do research. What else? Communication professional network. Sometimes the difficulty of conducting research because you have limited resources and network, but by conducting research you are actually connected to definite researchers, not only in the Philippines but in other countries. Now, for those who are new members of the group we just created, the Teacher Education Academy, for example, the members there, like Attorney Duel from Quezon province, could attest that research could indeed connect you to people around the world. What else? Here, which is actually very true. Efficient work time. When I was interviewing my participants from the region, they said that they don't have enough time to conduct research because they are actually fully loaded. They have many tasks to do. Mamaya lalabas yan dun sa ating interview. Size, experience, and expertise. They lack expertise to do it. Rewards. In one of the literature I have read, in one institution outside the country, they are receiving from $700 to $3,000 as an incentive of conducting research. In other school, for example, in Pampanga, I heard a particular professor who was actually awarded 40,000. In other university, they were given 70,000 or up, depending on the impact factor of the research they have produced. Also, what else? The communication, decentralized organization, are assertive participative governance. Later on, that's connected to leadership, which I'm actually bringing you to the last from Bland. For Bland, leadership is also a research element in conducting research. And it says that if the leader is a research scholar, that means highly regarded as scholars, serve as sponsor, mentor, and peer model for research, more chances that the school can produce research. Research-oriented. One of the interviews that I conducted, it says, the reason why the school or the teacher was not able to produce because the leader doesn't support research, because the leader has other priorities. So if the school leader has a research orientation, more likely that the teachers, the researchers will produce research, which is true to one of my participants. He said that my principal would even try to find ways to find financing, funding aside from birth and the school educational fund, which is not enough sometimes because it is allocated to other concerns sometimes. What else? Participative leadership. That is why I would even I'd been handling 20 schools in Pampanga on particularly in secondary in doing research productivity, and I would normally encourage principal to do collaboration with their teachers in conducting research. No, teachers can be deputized by the principal to conduct research on a particular topic, and they can do that. Okay, and lastly, okay, another research productivity indicator according to Sulabo and the other authors is self-efficacy. It says self-efficacy is an individual assessment of their own confidence associated with their ability to conduct research activities from planning the research to publishing it. No? The trust that a task will be completed successfully according to Gardas, Primiana, and Ifende of 2017. Actually, the study of Sulabo et al. From UP actually emphasize also the importance of self-efficacy. Sa madaling salita, kapag gusto mo yung ginagawa kahit wala masyadong incentive, kahit maraming naninira sa'yo, kahit hindi ka supportive ng leader mo, kapag gusto mong gumawa ng research, kapag determinado ka, kapag motivated ka, magagawa at magagawa mo yung research. So that's self-efficacy. Okay, so now I'm nearing to the last part of my screen. I'm sharing you, this is not yet for publication, my initial paradigm on research productivity. So what I actually did was I do an online survey on the 4 indicators that I mentioned to you: individual, institutional, leadership, and self-efficacy. And then I do an interview with productive researchers, and I do a mixed method using joint display analysis. So, and I was able to have, if you can, the following themes. No, the one outside the triangle are actually the themes. No, the one on top are actually the best practices that I get from my interview, and the one on the lower left are their challenges, and the one in the lower right are their coping mechanism. And using my joint display analysis, I was able to develop my unified themes. So I could say that the predictors for research productivity or the quality assurance framework later on, as I will develop this is an ongoing study for your information, is getting into graduate studies. In one of that interview, students would say that because of that lack of research skills, they were able to enroll in graduate school where they learn basic skills about research, and it is very helpful for them because it actually bridges the gap between their lack of knowledge on basic skills and on conducting research. Another is research-focused leadership and integral support. Anong sinasabi ko dito? One of the problems that they encounter is the lack of leadership support. So what I'm proposing here is leaders should not only be leaders. They're supposed to be research-focused leaders. So leaders are supposed to be focused on research. Okay? Next, lifelong education is a personal desire. Meaning that all teachers or researchers should actually have that desire to continue to educate themselves, and it's supposed to be a desire coming from within. Equitable reward mechanism, the mechanism of this kind of mechanism pertains to what kind of incentive is being provided to the researchers. Intrinsic passion for research actually later on you would realize in my modified paradigm that it's very important. It's actually becoming the first part. No, just to show you, these are the best practices identified in that framework. I will not elaborate that because I already explained that to you because of the scarcity of time. So these are the best practices mentioned by the teachers. And these are the challenges: so scarcity of time, playing multiple roles, lack of technical expertise, lack of leadership support, lack of encouragement, slow feedback mechanism, and negative attitude among colleagues. So these are the identified challenges. And identified coping mechanism, what they do with that problem. So they try to set priorities, they try to focus, constant self-enhancement, fund sourcing, collaboration with others, consistent feedback mechanism, and building rapport. And that brings me to my enhanced framework. Again, this is not yet final. So again, it seems that the most important predictor is the intrinsic passion of research. Kapag ang isang researcher ay gusto niya yung research, gusto niyang ginagawa niya, more chances that the person is able to conduct research. And then, ongoing graduate study. Okay? Because we are expected to conduct in our university, for example, we are expected to conduct a research per subject that we take. Then, our leaders supposed to be oriented to research. And if they are oriented to research, more chances that they will be supporting us integrally in all aspects, not only in research. And then lifelong education is a personal desire. Our desire to continue to learn, okay? And research is that opportunity to learn that would also help us produce research. And lastly, equitable reward mechanism. Not necessarily monetary, sometimes a simple recognition, or for in other university, for example, they are given a promotion, they are deloaded, so on and so forth. So for me, these are the predictors of research productivity. And let me end by saying, in doing research and in all educational endeavors that we do, let me quote what St. Francis said. Start by doing what's necessary. So doon muna tayo, ano ba talaga yung kailangan? Like in our modalities, in the needs, for example, in teaching now research and understanding culture, politics, and society, there are some issues as to the feedback mechanism. So let's try to settle that. Let's try to communicate what really seems to be the problem. Let's talk about that properly. Okay? So that we can provide the proper answer, so that we can still provide the quality and responsive education we're expected to do. And then, do what is possible. So pag alam mo na kung ano yung priority mo, simulan mo sa mga kaya mo nang gawin. Okay? And that's actually the implementation of the plan. And lastly, you would realize that you are doing the impossible. Yung dati na akala mo imposible, ay kaya naman palang gawin. So that's how we do research. Okay? So we try to identify what's necessary, what seems to be the problem, and then we try to respond to the problem, okay, by using this data and proper analysis of the data. And we have to remember that research is important, and we do research in order to solve a problem. We are doing research to answer a question. We are doing research to discover something new, to help in the field of education and to enhance and improve society. Okay? As a teacher, as a researcher. So, thank you very much for that, for your time. So once again, I am Leonilo Basas Capulso from Beyond Books Publication, your president. And I have provided you my number and my email address. If you have some clarification, you can just contact me. And in all research initiative and other collaboration in the future. So once again, thank you very much and good afternoon. Sir?
Thank you so much, Sir Capolso. It is indeed a very inspiring talk.
Thank you, sir.
We really learned a lot this afternoon, and we hope next time we will have a longer time to discuss, because we understand that we have a very limited
yes, sir.
time today. But we have seen that your topic is really very interesting and it's full of substance.
Yes, sir.
So we will now proceed on the open forum, or the question and answer program. There is somebody assigned our committee to select questions to be asked in this segment. We would like to encourage everyone to raise relevant questions on this topic presented this afternoon. So we have allocated 1 hour and a half on this webinar. So we'll try to cater questions as many as we can. When raising your questions, kindly introduce yourself and the name of the institution you are affiliated with.
Thank you,
so, sir. Yes, is there somebody interested to ask a question? So first, I would like to ask a question privately sent here on our Zoom account. So, sir, what are the challenges for researchers during this pandemic? Because we understand that, things have changed during this pandemic. So we would like to ask, what are the challenges, or if there are, problems, or, even opportunities that we see during this pandemic?
Thank you for that question, sir. Actually, just for sharing, I conducted my study initially through a survey questionnaire. But because of the pandemic, I have to shift my survey into online mechanism. So I actually drafted a Google form in order to gather my data. But because there is that lack of face-to-face interaction, sometimes there are possibility of outliers, and you cannot totally give the proper orientation as to answering the questionnaires properly. But sometimes it's also a challenge because, for example, the second part of my study where I do an online interview, um, everybody is actually trying to rush in everything that we do, that they do. But then conducting an online interview would actually be separated by the screen, but just the same, no, the study was able to be conducted. Only that the personal touch was missing, no, that part of conducting study. But I think personally it will not hinder us from conducting research. Of course, it's another story in teaching research to students. When uh, I used to teach for 3 years practical research to our students, and as part of their output, I normally have the school-based research conference where students have to present their output per group. But because of pandemic, they are not allowed to see each other personally. And it's hard for senior high school to conduct research individually. So I think that is where the problem lies, sir. Sir, I cannot hear you. I think you are muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay,
On the
thank you,
second
sir.
part of his question, sir, yes, we understand there are a lot of problems we face. He would like also to ask, are there opportunities also that we can see during this time?
Speaking of opportunity, I think I have to take it again from my personal perspective. Because we have a limited opportunity to meet one another. The possibility of doing collaboration from the international partners became very, very feasible. In our case, I was able to have research partners from different parts of the world. I have partners from Pakistan, I have partners from Nepal, I have partners from Indonesia, from Malaysia, from Greece, from Turkey. So collaboration now actually becomes very possible because of this pandemic, no. So for us researchers, we are not limited by space and time because of this. So I think that is the opportunity that came along with that. And because of that, we are actually also were able to enhance our skills by asking them how they did it in their own way. So we in business we call it leveraging our research skills. So it actually a blessing in disguise for us, sir.
Okay, sir, thank you so much for the response. So one of our participants asked, his name is Charles Isla. Thank you, Sir Capolso. I have learned a lot. What are your tips to become outstanding researcher?
Okay. Thank you, Sir Charles. Actually, to become an outstanding researcher is a bonus. Again, personally, those challenges that were mentioned, majority of them actually were personally experienced by myself also. Although there were some also other positive points in the other side of the story. But because of my determination to conduct research, I was able to inspire others, no, in doing research. Again, I have to tell the group that I am a research coordinator of a particular cluster in schools division office in Pampanga. I'm handling 20 schools. I actually do capacity building to these schools, and even do school to school or school based research capacity building, and even encouraging principals to do research. And if you happen to visit my YouTube channel, no, you can see there, Serdoy TV. You can go to my YouTube channel. You will see there actually a clip which was created by DepEd Region 3, how I become an outstanding teacher of Region 3. And most of them were what I did with research. So because of that motivation to share the passion, no, I try to capacitate eventually not only people in Region 3, but even now we've been doing capacity building in other countries. So, 'di ba sabi natin kapag mahal mo yung ginagawa mo, hindi mo nakikita yung mga problema, they become actually opportunities, and being recognized as an outstanding researcher becomes a bonus. But if you try to go back to my framework from the end, no, it becomes also very inspiring to be recognized as it came out to my framework that reward mechanism is actually a predictor of research productivity. But again, you should not start from there. No, a reward mechanism should only be a byproduct of your intrinsic motivation. Sure.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. That is a very inspiring answer, and I hope that many participants attending this afternoon will be encouraged to pursue research and to conduct more studies. So we have another question, sir, from Sir Patrick Jacob Ancheta. So he would like
Okay,
to
sir.
ask, sir, what is the difference between action research done qualitatively and those done quantitatively?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Um, One of the advocacy now I am doing is to promote action research qualitatively. In our division particularly, I could say that 98% of action research are done quantitatively. So I was affiliated with Asian Qualitative Research Association in before the founding president was Dr. Wambaleka, who happens now to be in Africa. And in his book, he actually advocated the beauty of conducting qualitative research. And he has a book for teachers that will actually guide teachers in conducting qualitative action research. The difference is most of the action research conducted quantitatively is done using experimental research or quasi-experimental research. Whereas in qualitative research, you can do that actually using only interviews, okay, or even other research methodology which were identified, ethnography, so on and so forth. So action research, if you try to go back to the framework, you start with a problem. So kapag ako halimbawa, if I have a problem with my students or with my co-teachers, my pre-test, okay, may would be an interview. So alamin ko muna kung ano yung problema ng mga estudyante ko by you can do it through focus group discussion, you can do it through an interview, and then just the same following the format, you do intervention as a teacher. Then after that, instead of doing of giving questionnaire, you again interview them. Okay? And how do you analyze? You analyze by doing thematic analysis. Okay? In my case, for example, I do joint display analysis. In quantitative, you do using, for example, SPSS or use Excel to do your data analysis. But basic education research agenda equally appreciate these two kinds of research. Okay, actually it promotes quantitative research, qualitative research, and even mixed method research. So personally for me, a teacher in private or in public school can, or even in higher education, can conduct action research quantitatively, qualitatively, or even using mixed methods, sir.
Okay, sir, thank you so much. And also, Sir Patrick Ancheta, for your question. I have another question, sir, from Sir Leonard Carrion.
Okay, sir.
And I would like to read his question. Sir, can you provide some advice about my focus on research? It can be an issue, those research focusing on the leadership styles of barangay captains. Para po kasing magkakaroon ng issue regarding this. This is my problem as of now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I think we try to recall the context of research ethics para magiging guidance natin. In school, for example, our ethical standard would normally do this. We normally do this. Kapag ako ay teacher 3, ang gagawin kong research ay yun lang para sa teacher 1 to 3 at sa mga estudyante ko. I normally am not encouraged to do research whose respondents are higher than my designation. So we are discouraged to, but I'm not saying that it's not allowed, no? We are discouraged to conduct research whose our participants are master teachers, our principals, or even superintendents, except if it is a graduate study. Now, however, as teacher, you can actually be deputized by your principal. I normally tell this to the principals. Halimbawa, gusto malaman ng principal yung sitwasyon ng iba't ibang organization o ng ibang mga projects in school. So a particular teacher can be deputized by the principal to do that. Now, if my study is on leadership of barangay captain, your concern now is your respondents are barangay captain. When you ask permission to conduct research, you normally go to the higher up. Okay. So, sino ba yung mas mataas sa barangay captain? Normally yung mayor. So, that's a courtesy also. That's also research ethics. Maliban na lang kapag ito ay graduate study, even it's a graduate study, no, you still have to ask permission from the people who are actually under the jurisdiction of your research participants. So wala naman sir problema yung kung gusto mong aralin yung mga leadership styles ng mga barangay captain. Basta malinaw lang doon sa iyong permission to conduct study why you're doing that. And normally, if you try to go back to our initial discussion, we do research to answer a question, to solve a problem, and to discover something new. Malay mo, halimbawa, ako naman on the positive side, halimbawa nakita ko, bakit ba itong mga barangay captain namin ang sisipag, yung iba hindi. Gusto kong malaman kung bakit. So it's more on the appreciative inquiry approach yung gamit ko. So I will conduct research on the leadership styles of barangay captain, not to put them down, but to raise them up. Okay? So, wala namang issue, sir. Actually, you could just proceed as long as you follow the proper protocol of conducting research study.
Okay, sir. Thank you for that answer.
Okay, sir.
We have a question here from our webinar director, Mr. Ricky Kibinko. We would like to ask, sir, how do you differentiate a good research from a bad research?
Okay. I think when you differentiate a good from a bad research, it entails the kind of norm you are using. So how do you what actually your norm of determining if a research are good or bad? A research is bad for me if you don't follow the standards of research. Like for example, you violated the research ethics, then that's a bad research. Kahit gaano kaganda ng research study mo, kung hindi mo nasunod yung protocol, halimbawa, yung confidentiality, proper caring of information, walang saysay yung magandang research na ginawa mo. Or halimbawa naman, on the contrary, ang study mo, negative yung effect. Always remember that research study is not always yielding positive effect. If the study is actually, halimbawa, kapag ang study ko, lumabas ay negative. Tapos para hindi lang sumama yung loob nila, ginawa kong positive. That's a bad research. So, a good research, regardless of its outcome, positive or negative, as long as a researcher follow the standards of research procedure, then it is a good research for me. Okay? So, regardless if it is yielding positive or negative effect. Sorry?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. We have another question. I think this will be the last question that we will cater because we don't have enough time. Marami pa sanang questions. Pero gusto niyang itanong, sir. Ay, hold on. Na-explain niyo po kanina yung action research is finding a solution. So, in every title of the student research, dapat po pala masundan po natin para malaman natin kung successful nga ba yung research na ginawa na research, sir. This question is from Sir Mel Enciso.
Sir, what exactly is the question? Yung tanong niya ay,
dapat po ba pala masundan po natin para malaman natin kung successful nga ba yung research na ginawa ng ating student?
Okay. I think he is talking about the research framework, the research cycle. The research cycle is parang framework lang siya, madali ang framework na dapat you start with the planning, then you try to execute, and then you evaluate, and then you disseminate. So on like that. Kailangan mo siyang sundan. I'll make it simple. Ganito. When it comes to student, hindi kasi action research yung ginagawa ng estudyante or hindi lahat ng estudyante ay action research yung ginagawa. unless na lang as a research teacher you want your students to do action research, no. um your your students' research could sometimes be an ordinary assessment or evaluation research. Halimbawa, gusto ko lang malaman kung ano yung trend ng mga estudyante when it comes to gusto nilang panoorin na telenovela. Yun ba ay Tagalog or Korean? That's not an action research. But then again, we what we actually follow is the important research procedure. Okay? So as long as nasusundan niyo yung procedure, okay, now generally we've been following an MRAD format: introduction, methods, research, and discussion. And that four part, no, unlike in other, and which is actually also followed by the BERA, the Basic Education Research Agenda is also following the MRAD format. Now we have the seventh edition also of American Psychological Association citation. In as long as we are following that, we are doing the right thing in research. Again, if the teacher decides to have the students do an action research, it is an agreement between the student and the teacher. Okay? But action research is also an option to the teacher. Again, Basic Education Research Agenda does not only oblige teachers to do action research. Applied research is another option. Okay? So a teacher could do applied research or an action research. And just like the method, he can use quantitative, qualitative, or a mixed method. Sir?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. So we really learned a lot this afternoon, and we are receiving some of the positive feedbacks here in our chat group. I would like to read some um, from Sir Cyril de la Fuente at University of Antique. My salute to you, my friend, Dr. Doy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Doksai.
And also, um, we have also a comment from Ma'am Ellen Grace Soberano. I like the way these predictors of research productivity are cited. Hope we can avail a copy of your presentation. Thank you so much in advance, sir.
Okay, sir.
And also, we would like to greet our participants watching from all the way from Australia. So we have Ma'am Lynn Divine, and we have also Sir Derek Hernandez watching from Vegan City.
Okay.
And also a comment from Nam Novalin Matuan. Thank you so much, Sir Leonilo. Very informative. And also a comment from Sir Junard Carion. Thank you po, sir. And there's still a lot of comment, but unfortunately, we don't have enough time to read all of this. So congratulations, sir, for a very wonderful and well-delivered topic this afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the trust.
Yes, and we hope to have another topic, probably more detailed discussion next time, because we
Yes, sir.
understand that
Yeah.
our time is very limited.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure, sir. Thank you for the chance also.
Yes, and
Ingat
we
po
hope
kayo.
yeah, and very soon we will be having our CPD, and we can organize webinars in longer time. So we hope to invite you once again in the future.
Of course, sir. My pleasure po.
Okay, so before we end, I would like to just read some of the very important announcement. So number one, to earn the certificate of participation, you must fill up with the attendance and evaluation form. The link is posted on our Facebook official page in the POMI YouTube channel. The digital copy of your certificate will be sent on your respective email within 24 hours. So attendance and evaluation will be verified as a requirement before we send your certificate. Paid participants who will not receive their certificate of participation within 24 hours, kindly send a message on the official Facebook page of Philippine Institute of the 21st Century Educators or email us at centuryeducators21@gmail.com. Participants who applied for membership, there will be an additional 180 pesos shipping fee if the participant wishes to have an original copy of their certificate. Membership of at least 3 affiliated organizations will be free of delivery charge and the preferred address. For those who failed to watch it live, you still have the chance to get your certificate of participation. You can still watch the delayed telecast of this webinar. The video will be posted on our Facebook page or here in Zoom. You can also sign up with attendance and fill up the evaluation form. So we would like to announce for those na hindi po naka-attend dito sa Zoom, we will re-upload our video on YouTube because we have started our live in the middle of the presentation. So we will re-upload the whole video para kompleto po siya. So thank you so much, sir. And we would like also to thank our participants. We hope to see you in our next events. God bless everyone. And we hope that we can surpass this challenge and to actually see you face to face in very soon time. So once again, good afternoon. And a virtual clap to Sir Leonilo Capolso. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. God bless everyone.
Yes. And also, we would like to invite our participants on the upcoming virtual conference. We have an international conference on educational mentoring and coaching, the key to continuous professional development. So this will take place on November 21, 2020 at 3 p.m. Our speaker is Prakash Chandragiri. He is a principal of Goodwill Activity School, Lakeside, Pokhara, Nepal. So that's all for today. And thank you so much once again.